there's a 2-minute warning. But you might be able to see, oh, I can't really see it in that. She'll
Just
stand in the
yell.
back. If you see a sign up, it's a 2-minute warning in the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see that? She'll do that.
Yeah, I see that.
Thank you.
All right, I'll zoom through my slide very fast. And so I was asked to talk about cover crop and soil health. I'm a researcher at the University of Kauaʻi and Manoa. And so I think most of you are already well aware of the benefits of cover cropping. And so mostly today I will talk about how it can help to save fertilizer costs and add organic matter to the soil, and also can suppress multiple pests and pathogens if done correctly. And most importantly, avoid erosion and conserve soil moisture while protect our water quality, as some of the presenters shared with you earlier. And if we use less pesticide, we safeguard our health, and potentially some cover crop can be harvestable. So today I will explain more about why we want to add carbon into the soil, because soil contains 2 to 3 times more carbon in the atmosphere. So if we just increase the soil carbon by 0.4% per year in the top 1 foot of soil, it could stop the increase of CO2 in the atmosphere. So basically, the soil can help us to mitigate the greenhouse gas emitted into the air. So just remember this number, 0.4%. I'll use this throughout the rest of my talk. And this slide just shows us why agriculture can contribute significantly to greenhouse gas emission, even though we grow lots of plants to absorb the CO2. But during the process, either from the fertilizer we put in or inefficient of fertilizer can also lead to the CO2 emission. But most importantly, inefficient use of fertilizer can convert into N2O, nitrogen oxide, which is another form of greenhouse gas. And sometimes if we just reduce the tillage, we can reduce the CO2 emission into the air. This slide is very busy, but basically, if we don't use the fertilizer effectively, we could lead to nitrogen loss, especially if the soil are not having enough oxygen in the ground. Then many of these could convert into the N2O gas that I mentioned just now. And not only we make our fertilizer less efficient, you can also not allow the plants to uptake the nitrogen you put in. So the condition of high or low oxygen in the soil could also be getting worse if we use too much of black plastic, because then there's no air exchange into the ground. So I'll skip this. So back to regenerative agriculture that the previous speaker have been talking about. Keep the soil covered all the time, reduce soil tillage, and keep crop with rotate your crop with different crop properties, like legume to non-legume crop. Keep the soil having living roots all the time, so because different type of roots support different type of microorganisms. And better yet, integrate some livestock into the system will be a more complete regenerative agriculture practice. So cover crop is a major part of this practice. And the reason we want to keep the soil healthy is there are lots of nutrients to be recycled, and all of this need different microorganisms to break them down. So first you incorporate organic matter into the soil. The nutrients from this organic matter cannot be turned into plant available form unless it's decomposed by fungus or bacteria, or if you have other fauna like nematodes that feed on the fungus or the bacteria, more nutrients will convert into inorganic form. Inorganic form of nutrients are the part that plants can uptake. And if you have bigger fauna like the omnivorous and predatory nematodes that feed on the smaller nematodes, then more nutrients will convert into plant available form. Having this in mind, so we want the soil food web to be very structured with the primary decomposer as well as the predator type of fauna to help with nutrient cycling. And so I'm a nematologist in training, so I use this type of nematode to indicate whether my soil is healthy or not. And so later I will show you different examples on which practices can increase the bacteria feeding nematodes as well as increasing the predatory nematodes. If we have lots of predatory nematodes, we say the soil food web are more structured. And if we have lots of bacteria feeding nematodes, the soil is more enriched with nutrients because lots of bacteria decomposition going on. So the enrichment index and structure index, if we can increase both of this, then we have an ideal healthy soil food web condition on the top right corner here. And so here I will share with you 5 different practices. First, we can look into using cover crop that has high nitrogen content. These are cover crop green manure that are easier to decompose by bacteria. So everyone probably very familiar with sunham as a cover crop. So I like to use cover crop in a strip till system to fulfill part of the conservation tillage practice. Sunham also has a compound that can suppress plant parasitic nematodes. So we do a strip till system by growing the cover crop throughout the whole field, but then alternate row of the cover crop are tilled in, incorporate into the soil. And then the remaining cover crop that we didn't till in the soil, we'll clip it as a surface organic mulch. But the cash crop, we will plant into the row that was tilled into the ground. So now this ground has the allelopathic compound that can suppress plant parasitic nematodes. So you will reduce the plant parasitic nematodes while adding the organic matter to increase the free-living nematodes. So using this system, I check the beneficial nematode in the soil. The bacteria feeding nematodes that indicate loss of bacteria decomposition going on in the soil are especially high with the sunham cover cropping in a strip till system. Compared to BG is a background, which is the last line here, you will have very little bacteria decomposition going on. And so this different sampling date is after 2 months of growing cover crop, we incorporate the material into the soil, and 2 months of cucumber were planted into the ground. You can see towards the end, the cucumber has lots of bacterial decomposition, lots of fungal decomposition compared to background. You will also have increase in the bigger fauna nematode like omnivorous nematodes towards the end of the cucumber, so a more structured soil food web. Well, at the same time, because that sunham can suppress plant parasitic nematodes, so the dark line, which is the sunham here, will keep the root knot nematode population low in the cucumber crop. But if you compare to the one that don't have the cover crop in the background, the cucumber will have lots of root knot nematodes in the ground. And so that shows pretty promising result. The structure index is the indication of whether the soil food web is being improved by sunham. We did not see too much differences towards the end of the first cycle of cucumber crop after sunham in year 1. So when we repeat the same practice again in year 2, and sure enough, we see the increase of structure index, which is indication of the soil being more structured soil food web compared to the background control in year 2. So it takes time to rebuild your soil that was disturbed, but nonetheless, overall, we see the benefit of sunham to suppress plant parasitic nematodes and increase structure soil food web, but we did not increase the soil carbon to the extent that we like to see. Remember just now I say we like to see 0.4% increase in soil organic matter, but I do this repeatedly in the same field for 7 cycles. I only increase 0.18% of the soil organic matter in this field. Even though I do a sunham conservation practice, so this is disappointing. So if we do want to increase the soil organic matter, let's look at cover crop that has higher carbon content, such as sorghum. So sorghum also has another allelopathic compound that can suppress plant parasitic nematodes. This is called durin, and when it's converted some chemistry in the soil, it will convert into hydrogen cyanide, which can kill nematode in the soil. And so it's a biofumigant. And so if we use this in a agriculture system, there's so many sorghum variety out there that are breed for different content of durin. And so my student Roshan here, he tested many variety available. And so ultimately, he selects 7 variety of them and compared to a background treatment that don't have sorghum as a cover crop. He grew them for 2.5 months and then he terminate them in a low-till and strip-till system and planted eggplant in this field for 5 months. And so this is a busy slide, but I just want to show you that some measurement of microbial activities in the soil has significantly increased soil carbon by about 0.36%, which is close to the 0.4% we want to achieve, compared to the BG is the background treatment on the top here. So not all variety will increase high amount of carbon in the soil, but NX2 seems to be very promising. It doesn't significantly increase yield in the year 1. So we tested this in different soil. In location 1, we have relatively poor soil to begin with, suggesting that it might take longer time to improve this soil. Later, we'll test it in a healthier soil. And nonetheless, it increased water infiltration, water holding capacity, and microbial respiration in the soil, also high with the one that are planted with sorghum. Another variety is called latte. Both of these are available in the local, used to be, we call it Kulua seed company that carry both of this variety. And yeah, so that's good news for the farmer. We can see an increase of soil carbon in short period of time. And when we try it in the same location for 2 years in the poor soil site, we still didn't see we see an increase in the the structure index, which is indication of more structural soil food web within 2 years. So similar to sunham, it can improve soil food web rather quickly. And soil carbon was increased in 1 year to close to the 0.4% by the NX2 cultivar. And it increased all the microbial respiration. So not just the NX2 variety, any other sorghum crop can increase the microbial respiration as well as water infiltration. So it helps your soil to maintain moisture better within 1 cropping cycle. The other property we see it improve is the volumetric soil aggregate stability. The improvement of soil aggregate means that it can increase your porosity in the soil, increase oxygen. So remember I say if you lack of oxygen in the soil, it will make your nitrogen fertilizer less efficient. So having sorghum did help to increase the porosity in the soil and with a better aggregate stability. So this is in location 1, which is relatively poor soil condition. After 2 years practicing sorghum cultivar cover cropping for 2 years following the eggplant planting, so the soil can, especially the NX2, can move the soil food web towards the ideal soil condition, which is in the section C here. Especially the NX2 are moving it towards to the high enrichment index and high structure index. Compared to the arrow that I was shown here, with a blue dot, this is where background is. It keeps the soil in a poor structure condition. And the other thing I want to mention is that when we increase the structure index, we also can suppress the plant parasitic nematodes after practicing the sorghum cover cropping with eggplant for 2 years. But it never did increase the yield of the eggplants. It's not correlate with the yield of eggplants. So it still need to practice more to the extent that can improve the eggplant's yields. So then we switch to go to look at the healthier soil, and we also do 2 years of sorghum and eggplant crop rotation. This time, if the arrow pointed on the left here is the background soil, all the cover crop with sorghum improve the soil food web structure better than the background. And looking at the graph on the right hand side here, the improve of structure index is also positively correlated with the yield of the eggplant, indicating that when you practice sorghum cover cropping in a healthier soil to begin with, you will even improve the eggplant yield better than without the cover crop. So it takes time to improve the soil, but the more you do it, the better yield it will be. And so there are differences between cover cropping, no cover cropping, and the more you do it, the better your soil health will be. So the next one I want to show you is this cover crop that kind of combine two different benefits of the low carbon and high carbon cover crop. So lately I've been testing velvet bean and in a sweet potato cropping system that required deep tillage. And velvet bean also has nematode suppressive properties. And velvet bean is BB here, has significantly lower plant parasitic nematodes compared to the background. And I have included the sorghum and sunham, which is SG and SH here as a comparison. At the same time, velvet bean also increased the soil carbon close to the 0.4% we see for the sorghum, even though it's a legume. And because it's a legume, it also increased the ammonia nitrogen significantly by the VB compared to the background. So it has dual benefits. Besides increasing other type of microbial activities in the soil, such as the AM fungi, which is the mycorrhizae fungi, compared to the background treatment, and it's even increase the AM fungi better than sunham or sorghum. And so towards the end of the sweet potato crop, we see VB, which is the yellow color triangle here, as a way separating the soil health condition compared to all the other treatment, indicating that velvet bean probably improves soil health much faster than the other cover crop as well. So one of the biggest problem we have growing sweet potato on Oahu is that we have loss of sweet potato weevil, as well as rough sweet potato weevil. And so when we check for damage of sweet potato weevil at the end of the cropping season, velvet bean for some reason has lowest rough sweet potato damage. And so we check what was in the soil in the velvet bean compared to the control. Turned out that it also stimulates some entomopathogenic fungi that can attack the rough sweet potato weevil. So it has many benefits besides the nutrient cycling benefits. So mixing cover crop is also good, and different regions have better preference of different cover crop mix. And so I just want to show some data here that I work with collaborator in North Carolina, but I think Gina probably has a better cover crop mix to recommend to you for Kauaʻi. You also can go to this website that we posted cover crop chart for Hawaii to look at what cover crop are more suitable for different area based on whether you want to have a warmer climate, to have a lower cover crop for lower elevation or higher elevation, and whether you want to have legume versus the high CN ratio cover crop. But Ted Radovich, as a student that looked into cover crop mix, and they suggest a tree sister approach. So for the cover crop, something like sunham mixed with sorghum and radish is a low growing one. So it will be having multiple function of cover crop mix. I also posted on top of this link here, some other cover crop mix for different purpose, whether the purpose is to increase soil carbon or to improve beneficial insects in the field. But if you want to grow cover crop in a orchard system with longer cover crop, long-lasting cover crop, so white clover stand out to be a perennial cover crop that can stay in perennial system. But white clover or things like perennial peanut, they take long time to establish. So we thought we mix a cover crop with some fast-growing cover crops such as buckwheat and black oat. So at first, buckwheat will grow, and in less than a month, buckwheat will finish flowering, and at 2.5 months later, black oat will take over. And you can see that the white clover are still not very well established. Towards 4 months after this cover crop mix, white clover will start to take over, and about 6 months, the white clover will totally take over. The black oat will die out and buckwheat will die out. So now you have a long-lasting cover of white clover without too much weeds to worry about. And so that is just one example of cover crop mix. And so you can have nitrogen fixing property. The high CN ratio black oat can add carbon to the soil, while the buckwheat initially are increasing the beneficial insects. And so I think just now someone also mentioned about agroforestry or windbreak. I call it shelter belt tree. And if you cut and drop the shelter belt tree, especially with high nitrogen contents cover crop, you can also benefit from nitrogen benefits from the pigeon pea, for example. And if you throw the cover crop on and use cardboard as a sheet mulching, instead of relying too much on the black plastic, although they will take lots of cardboard to do the sheet mulching, but nonetheless, it will improve the oxygen exchange in the soil compared to black plastic only. So that is something we are looking into, how it can benefit soil health. We did check that having the sheet mulching with pigeon pea suppress the weed very well, and it also improve the oxygen exchange. So here you can see the weed mat will suppress the CO2 in the soil. And so with that, that's all I have. And here's my website, and my contact is in my website. So I'll open floor for discussion.
You guys have any questions? So in the back, we do have a cover crop mix that you guys can take and try. So make sure you take some home with you. It's got several of the species that she talked about with sun hemp, buckwheat, and black oat.
All right. Yes.
Hi, Koon.
Hi.
If you have a diverse species of cover crop mix, so let's say like the 3 mix that we're giving out tonight, when is the best time to terminate? Because they're coming up at different times and flowering at different times.
Yeah. So the mix was sunham, black oat, and which one?
Buckwheat.
Buckwheat. Oh yeah. So I would still say about 2 to 3 months, no more than 3 months, because the only one that I'm concerned about is sunham. If you let it go to too old, then the nitrogen content will actually drop and it will become woody. And so then you don't have the benefit of the high nitrogen content from sunham. And sunham, even the stem tissue has high CN ratio. It also breaks down very quickly into a woody condition. So if you have this mix, the higher benefit will be the nitrogen return, which is having higher nitrogen content at the younger age of the sunham, 2 to 3 months. Good
Thank
question.
you.
Okay.
All right, anybody else? Okay, well, thank you
Thank you.
very much.